Today we are going to study an important chapter, vitamins, which is very essential for our first year, second year, third year, community medicine relating subjects. So let us learn about vitamins, and what are we going to see in this chapter is about RDA, recommended daily allowance, and the importance of vitamins, its sources, the RDA chart, its functions, deficiency manifestations, and this is such an important chapter that it is asked in Viva Voice as well. So let us start without wasting any further time. Let us start with the chapter vitamins, vital amines. Now, vital amines are of two types. They are fat soluble, they can be water soluble. You know all these. First of all, what are vitamins? They are the micronutrients which are essential for our body to function, right? And without it we get a lot of deficiencies, we get a lot of diseases. To prevent them, let us have vitamins in our day-to-day life. So we have to study about the dietary source, we have to study about the deficiencies and their RDA functions and their vitamins. Let's learn about what is actually vitamin. Now, starting with vitamin A, without wasting time, let us learn about what is mean by fat soluble vitamin and a water soluble vitamin. Fat soluble vitamins are those which are soluble in fat and they will get stored in the liver, because fat is stored as adipose tissues, right? So these fat soluble vitamins can also be stored in adipose tissues. Hence these are stored, but these are excreted. Because these are soluble in water, they can easily be excreted out through urine. And now, what are the vitamins that we know so far? Vitamin A, B, C, D, E, K, right? Among them, B and C are water soluble vitamins, and others, A, D, E, K, are fat soluble vitamins, right? Now, starting with vitamin A, which is a fat soluble vitamin, it has got vitamins. What are vitamins? See, vitamins are those structures, chemically similar substances which are qualitatively performing vitamins activity. So we can say that they are similar to isomers, right? They are qualitatively performing vitamin action. So if someone asks you what is vitamin, they are chemically similar substances qualitatively performing vitamin functions. So you'll understand it better with the example. Let us say that we have vitamins of vitamin A, which are retinol, retinol and retinoic acid. You can see that only the functional group has changed, but these are the vitamins of vitamin A. Now, this is the aldehyde form of vitamin A, which is retinol. The alcohol form of vitamin A is retinol. The carboxylic acid form of retinol is the retinoic acid, right? So these are the vitamins of vitamin A. Now, starting with what their functions are as follows. Retinol is important for the vision, whereas retinol is important for maintaining the germinal epithelium, maintenance of germinal epithelium. And the retinoic acid, they are important for the growth and differentiation. Now, you have said that these are the vitamins and they are required in our diet. But where are they available? What are they available as? Diet. They are taken to diet. They can be taken through plant sources and animal sources. Plant sources of vitamin A are beta carotene. Beta carotene is a provitamin. That is, it is a precursor of vitamin, provitamin, and it is an antioxidant. Antioxidants are substances which prevent the oxidation of free radicals, that is the formation of free radicals. Antioxidants will prevent the formation of free radicals and hence prevents aging, and the skin is as glowing as a young skin. So this beta carotene is required for skin, antioxidant. And we have the animal source, which is retinol. Retinol can be derived from beta carotene with the help of an enzyme called as dioxygenase. You'll better understand with this structure. This is the structure of beta carotene. You have a hexane ring with methyl groups here, and the formation of beta carotene is similar if you take two retinols together and remove this H2O from it, or dioxygenase enzyme will form retinol by removing this double bond and giving it the OH to the respective groups. And hence you can see the structure of retinol and beta carotene. It's just the double. The retinol, when it is doubled with the performing removal of water molecule, it forms beta carotene, right? So by using the enzyme dioxygenase, you can derive retinol. Retinol can be converted into retinol with the help of enzyme reductase, because aldehyde is reduced into alcohol by the enzyme reductase, right? So this is reduced, aldehyde is reduced into alcohol, and this retinol is converted into retinol esters, because that is the storage form of that is how the absorption occurs, right? First it is esterified, then again it is split into retinol and fatty acids, again it is re-esterified to make it compile into the chylomicrons, because we know that these are fat soluble vitamins. Obviously they get absorbed as chylomicrons. So these chylomicrons are so large that they cannot move through the blood vessels. They are moved by lacteals and then into the lymphatics, then into the lymphatic ducts, and it is moved to the thoracic duct and then to the liver. It is stored as retinol palmitate in the ito cells of liver. Liver contains hepatocytes and there are cells called as cytocells. This ito cells has palmitate, which combines with retinol to form retinol palmitate. And this is the storage form of vitamin A. This is the storage form of vitamin A. And these are moved out of the liver as free retinol and circulated as, this is circulation, circulated as retinol along with zinc. So this zinc molecule here, it combines with the free retinol and forms a retinol binding protein. This retinol binding protein along with retinol, it moves to the target organ, target cell, and there comes transcription and translation to do the cell differentiation, for the cell growth and differentiation. And this was all about the absorption, circulation, transportation, storage of vitamin A. Now let us deeply learn about the important function of vitamin A, and that every mom says eat carrots. That's because to prevent night blindness. Now, what do we have in our eyes? Eyes contains beautiful two cells called as rod cells and cone cells. These rod cells help us identify things in the dim light, and these cone cells help us identify the colors. The rod cells help us identification of objects in dim light, and they contain some protein called as rhodopsin. These rhodopsin, when light falls on them, that is, light is a stimulus. When a stimulus falls on this eyes, and this protein called as rhodopsin is split into opsin and all-trans retinal. All-trans retinal is now converted to all-trans retinol, and if you see that retinal aldehyde form is converted into alcohol form with the help of isomerase enzyme, it is converted into 11-cis retinol, and with the help of alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme, it is again converted into 11-cis retinol. It combines with opsin to form rhodopsin. So this is something called as dark adaptation time. This occurs because when the light falls on the retina, it breaks into opsin and all transretinal to let us see what is through, identify the objects. This splitting has to occur in order to identify between the objects. This is called as dark adaptation time. When there is an increase in dark adaptation time, there comes night blindness. Let us say you are going to move into a dark room, let us say a theater. From a light from where there is well ventilated and you are moving into a dark room, it takes time for our eyes to adapt. So that adaptation in the dark room is what is called as the dark adaptation time. And this reaction, it occurs in this time, right? So this time is increased in case of night blindness. Alright, now let us move on to the other functions of vitamin A. First of all, vitamin A, it is essential for the maintenance of germinal epithelium, and it prevents the keratinization of skin and cholesterol synthesis, because vitamin A, you know that it is retinal. It helps in cholesterol synthesis, and we have growth and differentiation. Now, these are other functions of vitamin A. What exactly happens in the dark adaptation time? And this is Watts-Willmans cycle. What exactly happens is that there is rhodopsin, which is converted into pre-lumirhodopsin, then it's converted into lumirhodopsin, meta-lumirhodopsin, meta-rhodopsin 2, and then into transducin and to cyclic GMP phosphodiesterase. When this cyclic GMP phosphodiesterase, it closes the sodium channels, there is occurrence of hyperpolarization. So this will send a response to the cerebral cortex. There is bipolar cells, and this whole cycle that's happening, and there is a deep hyperpolarization. It activates the channels of sodium channels, the closure of sodium channels, and it is gone to the bipolar cells. Bipolar cells will get activated, and we'll see what's going on outside, right? So this was all about vitamin A. Now let us, what happens if vitamin A is taken in excess? That leads us to hypervitaminosis of vitamin A. So hypervitaminosis, the name itself says hyper means large amounts, vitamin A is taken. Now this is going to cause us toxicity. Toxicity in what? Toxicity in the CNS, toxicity in the liver, toxicity in muscles, and dermatological toxicity. First, there is raised intracranial pressure. There is bulging of anterior frontal annulus. Let me show you the image. So there is bulging in the anterior frontal annulus and raised intracranial pressure leading to headache, nausea, vomiting, and there is a blurring of vision, ataxia and anorexia. Ataxia is the lack of coordination in the muscular movements, and anorexia is prolonged loss of appetite. Then they won't feel the hunger, they'll feel the loss of appetite, and they'll be having vomiting, nausea, headache sensations, blurring of vision. And what are the things that are prevented are now caused just due to the overconsumption of vitamin A. Then there is hepatomegaly in the liver, there is hepatomegaly and hyperlipidemia, because increased synthesis of cholesterol that leads to hyperlipidemia, and there is enlargement of liver because of the overactivity of vitamin A. Now musculoskeletal Thickening. Okay, there is thickening of long bones and there is bony exocytosis, hypercalcemia, and tissue calcification. Dermatologically, there is dry skin because of the excess secretion of keratin, deposit of keratin, exfoliation of dermatitis, and it forms phrenoderma. What are the WHO classifications of vitamin A deficiency? It is xerophthalmia. Xerophthalmia is, what is xerophthalmia exactly? Xerophthalmia is the dryness on the cornea. The cornea of our eyes gets so much dry that it forms a layer like this. So this corneal ulceration also occurs. Now let us see the levels at which the grades of xerophthalmia. First of all, xerophthalmia N, that is night blindness. Night blindness occurs because this is the first grade of xerophthalmia. Then comes conjunctival xerosis, that is there is Bitot spot, there is appearance of a white colored triangular patchy thing, a malnutrition, child presents with difficulty in seeing in dim light and dryness of eyes. Now there is a formation of triangular foamy white patches on the conjunctiva. Conjunctiva is nothing but the white part of the eye. There is a foamy triangular white patch which is called as Bitot spot. This skin lesion shown in the image, it is characterized by a rough hyperkeratinoid follicular papilla giving a taut skin. This is the taut skin appearance. This is also due to the deficiency of vitamin A. Now, night blindness, this is the first grade. Night blindness, xerophthalmia, conjunctiva xerosis, Bitot spot, corneal xerosis, corneal ulceration covering the eyes less than 1/3 of the cornea, corneal scarring, and xerophthalmic fundus. These are the grades at which the vitamin A deficiency is classified into. Now, let us move on to the next thing, which is called as vitamin D. Now, vitamin A is over. The first fat soluble vitamin is over. Let us summarize it. With this chart. Vitamin A, the vitamins of vitamin A are retinol, retinoic acid, and beta carotene. This vitamin A has RDA. For men it is 1,000 μg, that is micrograms. Okay, what are the vitamins? They are the retinol, retinal, and retinoic acid. Now, and the other one is the beta carotene. What do we have? The RDA. The RDA for vitamin A, for men it is 1,000 microgram. For women it is 840 microgram. For pregnant women it is 900 microgram. For lactating women it is 940 microgram. So this is the RDA, right? It is 950 microgram. Now, what are the functions of vitamin A? Functions of vitamin A are visual cycle. The visual cycle that we read, that rhodopsin is converted into opsin and 11 transretinol. This retinol is converted into retinal with the help of alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme, and this occurs in the retina and this occurs in the liver. This retinol, all trans-retinol is converted into 11 cis-retinol, then that is converted into retinol and combines with opsin to form rhodopsin. That whole cycle is called as Watt's visual cycle. And the regulation of gene expression and reproductive function, because it helps in the germinal epithelium, right? The gonads of testis and the ovaries. So the epithelium of these are also controlled by vitamin A. the prevent the keratinization of germinal epithelium. So that is actually helping in the functioning of reproductive system, and it acts as an antioxidant. We said that beta carotene, it acts as a antioxidant. It has effects on skin. We said that it prevents a keratinization of skin and prevents phrenoderma. Right now, what are the deficiencies? First, when there is increased dark adaptation time, there is a manifestation of night blindness. Night blindness is characterized by increased dark adaptation time, and the person will not be able to see things at night. Bitot spot is a white triangular lesion, patchy lesion on the corneal conjunctiva. That is because of the, not cornea, it is conjunctiva. There is a white triangular lesion or patch on the conjunctiva, and there is a foamy lesion. That is because of the, again, vitamin A deficiency. Now the next symptom is xerophthalmia. Xerophthalmia is dryness in cornea. We said that it has levels and grades. The first one was night blindness, second one was corneal xerosis, and the next thing was ulceration in 1/3 and ulceration in the 2/3 of the eye, and we saw the last thing as our phrenoderma, right? Keratomalacia is the keratinization of epithelium. Phrenoderma is dot skin, so there is increased keratinization and blockage of glands, adnexal glands, and then there is posterior aspect of the arm and buttocks get toad-like appearance of skin. So that's about phrenoderma. Now that the deficiencies are over, we also have to study about the dietary sources. Dietary sources are fish, liver oil, fruit and vegetable containing beta carotene. For example, we have papaya, we have carrots, all the orange colored things, they have beta carotene. So mangoes, papayas and carrots, they all have beta carotene in them, and green leafy vegetables also contain beta carotene. Now, and fish liver oil are best examples or best dietary sources of vitamin A. Now let's learn about the hypervitaminosis. Hypervitaminosis of vitamin A are weight loss, hair loss. There is weight loss, hair loss, night blindness, and again tenderness in long bones, raised intracranial pressure. We saw hepatomegaly, and we also saw the symptoms of dermatitis. For CNS, there was intracranial pressure, headache, nausea, vomiting. There was ataxia. There was also symptoms of what? Symptoms of anorexia, hyperlipidemia, the liver enlargement, hepatomegaly, thickening of long bones, all the dryness, exfoliative dermatitis, teratogenesis. All of these are going to be symptoms of hypervitaminosis of vitamin A. Why hypervitaminosis is going to occur? It is because of the parents who are so protective of their children. They give more doses of vitamin A in order to keep their children so healthy, but it's actually the opposite. Anything in excess causes a disease. Again, anything in deficiency, anything is deficient or anything is in excess will cause disease. So this is not actually understood by many parents. They are so overprotective in this era of technology. They give a lot of vitamin supplements to their children, and they will be getting these kind of manifestations. Alright, now let us move on to the next vitamin. That is, it has been 24 minutes since we started vitamin A. Now let us actually go to the next vitamin, that is vitamin D, which causes rickets. Okay, vitamin D deficiency causes rickets and osteomalacia in adults and rickets in children. It is a defective in mineralization of growing bones. Vitamin D or calcium in children So there is symptoms of wrist widening, there is rosary bowing of legs. There now parathyroid hormone is increased, the bone reabsorption is increased, mineralization is decreased, hence there is bowing of legs, there is widening of wrist because of the pressure that is created due to the weight bearing bones, right? Now let us learn about, what do you call it as, vitamin D. Let us learn about their synthesis. Vitamin D, it is a vitamin whose chemical formula is ergocalciferol or cholecalciferol, or we can call it as cholecalciferol, right? So these are actually synthesized in our own body. Other vitamins must be taken from the diet, but vitamin D, it is produced inside a body. How? If you ask, I would say that there are some cholesterol called as 7-dehydrocholesterol present in the stratum corneum of our epidermis. Epidermis is the outer layer of our skin. In that epidermis we have 5 layers, right? Stratum, corneum, lucidum, germinum. So these 5 elements, 5 layers are there in the epithelium. Now among them, the first layer, that is stratum corneum, they contain a cholesterol called as 7-dehydrocholesterol. They, on exposure to UV rays from the sunlight, this 7-dehydroxycholesterol is converted into 25-hydroxy. No, they are converted into cholecalciferols. These cholecalciferols are vitamin D3. They are in the small intestine, they go into the small intestine, they get absorbed into the chylomicrons, go into the lymphatics and straight to the blood vessels, and they will be moving to the blood and to the liver, and they get stored in the liver as cholecalciferol, 25-hydroxy cholecalciferol. In the liver, they are stored as 25-hydroxy cholecalciferol. This is the storage form of vitamin D. Now that we know that it got stored, the active form of vitamin D is calcitriol, that is 1,25-dihydroxy cholecalciferol. See, there is alcohol in the 3 positions, right? So that is it. That's why it's called as calcitriol. This is the active form. So when you get a question that which is the active form of vitamin D, you'll say it's 1,25-dihydroxy cholecalciferol. Okay, cholecalciferol. And if someone asks you what is the storage form of vitamin D, it is 25-hydroxy cholecalciferol, right? So what was the synthesis? How was it about? When it started with the stratum corneum of the epidermis, what was it? It was 7-dehydroxy cholesterol. Cholesterol is converted into cholecalciferol. So this cholecalciferol is formed by the UV rays that were produced from the sun in the stratum corneum of epidermis of skin. And this cholecalciferol, it is actually absorbed by the intestinal cells and made into the chylomicron, and that went into the lymphatics, then to the thoracic duct, then to the liver. In the liver, it is formed as, it is going to be formed as 25 with the help of enzyme 25-hydroxylase. It is going to get converted into 25-hydroxy cholecalciferol. This is the storage form.
storage form of vitamin D. Now this is going to go to the kidneys. In the kidney, it is going to be converted into 1,25 dihydroxycholecalciferol. Now this is the active form, right? Now we are going to answer some questions. What is the RD of vitamin D? What is the function of vitamin D? Why are we studying about vitamin D? Why is it important in our body? And why is it known as a hormone? Other than vitamin D, nothing is no vitamin is called as a hormone, but vitamin D is alone called as a hormone. Why is that so? Why do we call it as a hormone? And what are the deficiency manifestation, that is rickets? What are the types of rickets are going to be answered in this chapter. Now let us talk about vitamin D. Why we have talked about its synthesis. Now we have said that it is having two forms, that is vitamin D2 and vitamin D3. The vitamin D2 is ergocalciferol derived from the plant source, and cholecalciferol is in the animal itself. It's in this present in the skin of animal itself, right? So cholecalciferol. Now that this is done, let us move on to answering the question RDA of vitamin D. The RDA of vitamin D is 600 international units, right? Or in terms of micrograms, it can be told as 10 to 12 micrograms, right? But if you want to say it in terms of international units, it is going to be 600 international units. And now the first question is answered. The answer for the first question was, it is 600 international units, and it has got what do you call it as, it has got 10 to 12 microgram in terms of micrograms. This was the first question that was answered. Now let us move on to the next question, which says, what is the function of vitamin D? Let us learn it. Before that, let's answer this question, why it is known as a hormone, because this question gives us the answer for this question as well. Now it is called as a hormone because it is produced inside our own skin. Other vitamins, they are not synthesized in our own body. You know that hormones are synthesized in our own body, and unlike other vitamins which must be taken through diet, which must be taken from outside, vitamin D is synthesized in our own body. It is endogenously synthesized, hence we can say that vitamin D is a hormone because its synthesis occurs inside our own body. The first point. The second point is that it has 3 target tissues. You know that only hormones have target tissues, and they act on certain target tissues. The same way, the vitamin D has also got 3 target tissues, that is intestine, bone, and the renal tubules. Now this is the function of vitamin D, so let's learn in detail. Before that, let's move on to the third point, which is it regulates the calcium levels in the blood, because we know that parathyroid hormone also regulates the calcium levels. Thyroid hormones usually regulate the calcium levels in the body. In the same way, vitamin D also does this. Now it acts as a steroid hormone, group 1 hormone, and forms a hormone receptor complex. You know that other vitamins, they never form a hormone receptor complex, but this forms the complex with the receptors. This is the receptor and this is the hormone. They form a hormone receptor complex. So this is only seen in vitamin D alone. Why? And that is why we call it as a hormone. Let's learn this in detail, because we have a cell, and above the cell we have a receptor. These kind of receptors can be intracellular or extracellular. So they can be in the nucleus or they can be outside the cell. When there is recognition of this hormone, it is accepted by this receptor, and it sends a secondary messenger. The secondary messenger goes to the nucleus. It actually translates into the protein which is actually going to perform the action. So this was what happening in the steroid hormones, group 1 hormones. this exact mechanism of hormones is applicable for vitamin D. Therefore, we can say that it is a hormone receptor complex is made. And these are the 4 points that you need to remember. So let us talk about the target tissues and this acting like a steroid hormone in detail. First of all, these are the functions of vitamin D. What is the first function? It actually does the calcium reabsorption from the intestine. Calcium absorption from the intestine, calcium reabsorption from the bones and the renal tubules, right? Now, this is the intestinal cell which has villi, and it has some cytoreceptor. Cyto means cell, receptor, cells present in the receptor present in the cells. Right? Now we have got calcitriol, that is vitamin D. Vitamin D, calcitriol, it is also called as 1,25 dihydroxy cholecalciferol. Right? This cholecalciferol, it is going to enter into the cell by binding to the cytoreceptor. When this goes into the cell as secondary messenger, it converts the DNA into RNA. Transcription is then done. A translation occurs, and there is a production of protein called as calcium binding protein, calbindin. This calbindin actually helps in the binding of calcium with this protein, right? Calbindin, that's why it's called as calbindin, calcium binding protein that is formed. So what we can say from this is that this calcitriol is very important for the formation of calbindin. Now calcium is absorbed. When there is calcium, this calbindin is there, it attaches with the calbindin and it gets absorbed into the blood, and now you have got calcium in the blood, calcium in your body, right? So there is increased absorption of calcium and phosphate from the intestine, and that is facilitated by the calbindin protein. This is the first function. Now let us move on to the second function. This calcitriol, they help in the formation of bone. Why? Because they are helping in the mineralization of the bone. Bone is formed, but minerals, where do you get it from? From the intestine only. Now the blood supply, it gives minerals to the bones. Now the bone which was very soft will become hard because of the mineralization of calcium and phosphate in this. Phosphate and calcium are the two important minerals of the bones. So this important function of bone mineralization is done by vitamin D. This is the second function. And the third function is it is increased reabsorption of calcium and phosphate from the renal tubules. And when you reabsorb calcium and phosphate, not allowing it to go through the urine, it actually increases the calcium levels in the blood, and now mineralization and other absorption is easier now, indirectly helping in bone formation, right? So these many important functions are related with vitamin D. That is why when you are not going and playing in the sun, when you are not letting the child is not going out and playing in sun, it is not exposed to UV rays, then the stratum corneum of the epidermis will not make 25 hydroxy cholecalciferol, and hence this calcitriol is not made. This calcitriol is what is important in bone mineralization. In children, when it is not occurring, it leads to the manifestation of rickets. Rickets is in children and osteomalacia in adults. So what actually happens during this manifestation is that there is bowing of legs, there is craniotebis. Craniotebis means when you touch the head of the cranium, means head, right? Baby, it is actually so soft. The skull bones are made so soft because they are not mineralized, because the baby is not exposed to sun, it has not got vitamin D source in order to make calcium and phosphate get mineralized into the bones, right? Then there is wide open front annulus. The front front of the head, that is called as frontal bone, it is wide open because there is no sutures, that is sutures are not made, they are not bind together. There is open front annulus and frontal bossing, wide wrist. When the baby crawls, there is the pressure in its wrist, right, which causes the wrist become wider because there is no mineralization. Again, the bones are very soft. And bowing of legs, because when the child tries to walk, all the pressure from the top of its body are going to be exerted in the weight bearing bones. The weight bearing bones, they cannot handle this pressure, right? So there is bowing of legs. And there is Recatic rosary, there is Harrison sulcus, kyphosis, scoliosis or lordosis, and these are the clinical manifestation of vitamin D. Now let us learn about the next vitamin. Okay, before that, we know osteomalacia. It occurs due to the decreased bone mineral activity after the closure of epiphysis, that is only occurring in adults. There is closure of epiphysis and there is increased alkaline phosphatase levels. There is increase in alkaline phosphatase, and which says that you have osteomalacia. And this was all about vitamin D. Now we have covered two vitamins, vitamin A and vitamin D. Thank you so much. Let's continue the remaining vitamins in the next lecture. Make sure that you make someone else's day better. Thank you so much.